All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to explore something really fascinating from the ancient Indian system of medicine, Ayurveda. We're talking about a concept called Unmada, which is basically an incredibly detailed ancient framework for understanding what we might now call severe mental illness.
And that question you see right there, that's the absolute heart of this whole thing. Instead of seeing a problem that's just stuck in the brain, Ayurveda looks at it as a state of disharmony that affects your entire being. So let's really get into this unique and ancient viewpoint.
So, first things first, let's define our terms. What exactly is Unmada? Well, at its core, it's about a mind that's been knocked completely out of balance.
Now, the classical Ayurvedic texts are really clear on this. Unmada is so much more than just madness. It's a profound, all-encompassing disturbance. Your mind, your ability to reason, your consciousness, your memory, how you act, even what you want to eat, it's all just thrown into disarray. You could almost think of it as a very early version of what we'd call psychosis today, where a person's entire relationship with reality is fundamentally shaken. We're talking about a complete systemic breakdown.
Okay, so what does this actually look like? How would you know you're seeing it? Let's get into the specific signs of a disturbed mind according to this system.
So, looking at the thought processes, the signs are pretty distinct. You have what's called buddhi brahma, which basically means delusions, a rock-solid belief in things that simply aren't real. Then, you pile on confused thoughts, you can't focus your eyes on anything, you're losing memories, smriti bhramsha, and when you talk, the words are all jumbled. It really paints a picture of a mind that's struggling with its most fundamental jobs.
And, what's happening on the inside has to come out. These internal struggles show up in a person's behavior. You might see extreme restlessness, a total lack of patience, maybe even outbursts of aggression, or something like just wandering aimlessly. Emotions can be all over the map, laughing or crying at completely inappropriate times. And this imbalance seeps into the body's most basic needs too, causing huge shifts in appetite and, very commonly, insomnia.
Okay, so we've seen the what. We know the signs. The next logical step, and this is crucial in Ayurveda, is to ask, why? You have to get to the source of the problem. So let's trace the root causes.
And this is where it gets really cool. Ayurveda connects these mental states to what it calls doshas, 3 fundamental energies in the body. If one gets out of whack, you get a specific flavor of Unmada. So if your air energy, or vata, is too high, you get that restless type, talking nonstop, can't sit still, maybe grinding your teeth. If it's the fire energy, pitta, that's aggravated, you see irritability, anger, red eyes. And if the earth energy, kapha, is in excess, you get the opposite. Total lethargy, sluggishness, and just wanting to sleep all the time.
But what happens if it's not just one of them? Well, that's the 4th type, sanipataja. And this is considered the most severe kind, because it's not just one dosha that's off, it's all 3 at once. You can just imagine the chaos. It's a confusing, complex mix of all the different symptoms, making it the hardest one to treat. And then there's one more, a 5th type, called agantuja. This one's different because it's considered exogenous, meaning it comes from the outside. The problem isn't an internal imbalance, it's triggered by external things, like a serious psychological trauma, exposure to some kind of poison, or what the ancient texts would call unseen subtle forces. It's a recognition that our environment can deeply affect us.
So, with this incredibly detailed diagnosis, you can then create a treatment plan. And the goal is really important here. It's not just to mask the symptoms. The whole point is to restore that inner harmony. So let's just look at how they approached it.
The first step is often a deep, deep purification process. It's called panchakarma, which means 5 therapies, and each one is designed to rebalance a specific dosha. You've got vaman, or therapeutic vomiting, to get rid of excess kapha. Then virichin, or purgation, to cool down all that fiery pitta. Basti is a form of enema therapy that helps to balance out the flighty vata energy. And the whole thing finishes with therapies that work directly on the head and nervous system, like nasya and shirodhara.
Let's just focus on one of those for a second. Shirodhara. I mean, just picture it. A continuous, warm stream of medicated oil is poured gently right across your forehead. It's designed to be profoundly calming, to pacify the senses, reduce stress, and just directly soothe the agitation that comes with Unmada. So after you've cleansed the system, it's time to rebuild and nourish the mind. This is where herbal medicines come in. Ayurveda has this whole special class of herbs called Medhya Rasayanas. They're essentially brain food. You've got things like Brahmi and Shankpushpi to help improve intellect and cognition, and Ashwagandha, which is famous for helping the body handle stress. And often, these are delivered in a medicated ghee like Brahmi Grita, because the healthy fat helps carry the benefits of the herbs deep into the brain and nervous system.
Of course, treatment extends into everyday life, and a huge part of that is diet. You've heard food is medicine, right? Well, that's central here. The idea is to embrace what are called sattvic foods, things that are fresh, pure, and easy to digest, which are thought to promote a clear and peaceful mind. On the other hand, you have to avoid kupathya foods, anything super spicy, sour, processed, or stale, along with things like alcohol and meat. These are seen as only aggravating the imbalance and clouding the mind further.
And finally, to show you just how truly holistic this is, the treatment addresses the mind directly. There's something called Sattvavajja, which is essentially a form of ancient psychotherapy. It's all about strengthening the mind and learning to steer it away from destructive patterns. And for that externally caused agantuja type, spiritual therapies like chanting mantras or prayer were also used to bring about a sense of peace and protection.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The Ayurvedic model of Unmada gives us this powerful vision where mental health is completely woven together with physical health, with diet, with lifestyle, even with your spiritual life. It really leaves us with a powerful thought to consider. How might our own approach to wellness, our own lives, change if we really truly started to see the mind and body as one inseparable whole? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.